Tokyo Ghoul chapter 143. Here's my review. Gotta preface this with a couple of things. First of all, this is going to be kind of a long video. Please bear with me. There's just a lot of stuff that I have to get into about this chapter, a lot of different talking points. So there's that. I'm going to try and make it as short as possible. I'm not going to talk about everything I want to. I'm not going to talk about the series as a whole and how this chapter affects it or anything of that nature. I'm not going to bring this chapter's score down based on things of that nature. I'm going to be doing a couple other Tokyo Ghoul discussion videos and series review, or potentially a part 1 series review if we get that sequel, but in the next coming days, in this week sometime. So I'm not going to get into everything in this video. I'm going to be more discussion about it, but I just want to talk about certain various aspects of this chapter, review it and all that. Despite the fact that it's quote-unquote the last chapter, so to speak, I just gotta try and treat it like a normal chapter. So much to talk about though. I had to like write some shit down, so I'm probably gonna be looking down a couple of times during this because just too many talking points. First thing, chapter opens up, I want to get into the Tsukiyama. Dude, I fucking love Tsukiyama, okay? A lot of people don't like Tsukiyama. I like his speech, his mannerisms, the whole amore thing. The fact that he was obsessed with Kaneki was a bit weird, and sniffing the blood-soaked handkerchief all the time was real sick. But he goes in a fucking fight. He, for all intents and purposes, despite his, warped reasoning, he was still very protective of Kaneki. And now, with Kaneki assumed dead, he is just completely zombified. Like, he may as well be Shinohara at this point, because dude was just on the ground, hasn't wiped the tears from his eyes. He can't believe he couldn't get a bite of Kaneki at this point. And I think that his love for Kaneki transcended just the eating of him thing. It became some sort of sick, twisted fetishization / admiration / just, he was just infatuated with Kaneki in all aspects, his personality, his smell, what he was going to taste like, and dude took it hard. You see Nishiki just over him. Nishiki's just kind of perturbed by the whole situation. I'd love to get more insight into how he feels, but Ishida just went real quick with each of these pages, just a page or two for each thing. Some things got 3 pages or so, like the Juzo thing, which I'll get into in a second. But what I realized with this chapter, most of all, is yesterday when I made this video about the manga ending, I compared Ishida-sensei to Nizuma Eiji from Bakuman. I realized that he's not Nizuma Eiji with what he's doing here. He's more of the Takagi type. Dude, when I'm looking back at the last 10 chapters, I see him slowly building up to this abrupt ending. This seems to be, with all the questions and none of the answers that we got this chapter, a clear setup for a sequel. I'll get into all of that later on, though. Alright, next thing, the Shinohara thing, vegetative state. I mean, I think that's just a lot of the conclusions for these characters are so sad, and it really shines through that this is a dark fantasy seinen, that did it. Like, a lot of the time when I was reading Tokyo Ghoul, I felt that kind of shonen battle manga vibe, but it's clear seinen battle manga material in that it holds to it's not quite as, absurdly fucking dark and twisted as something like Berserk, but it's tragic in a deep way that you rarely see in manga anywhere, and you see that with a lot of these supposed endings for the characters, and some established endings as well, some certain deaths. Shinohara never going to be the person he was. He's always going to be in a coma like that, and it's sad to see. I like Shinohara. He's a funny dude, so I felt bad. What I did like was Suzuya Juzo's development in this chapter. You see him there sitting with Shinohara the whole time. He's just genuinely... Shinohara's state and what he experienced that night during this raid has completely fundamentally changed Juzo's character. He, is finally able to feel love for the first time, feel something for somebody else. He kind of, you see that in him telling, Shinohara to sleep, peacefully and everything, just kind of standing over there. Some people might take it as a weird twisted thing where Juzo's just even more mentally fucked up, which he probably is, but at least he's opening up to his emotions and connecting with people, and that'll be good for his development in the future. Next thing. Alright. Akira's response to Amon and Takizawa's death. Now, the CCG is just pretty much in an uproar at this point. None of them really know or can confirm any of these deaths. That's why that CCG report was bullshit when it was first shown. That's why even the report now after the battles ended is bullshit, because they can't actually recover the bodies. Their assumption is that they were either taken by the enemy, eaten by ghouls, but they assume them dead, most likely just eaten off by the ghouls. They don't see the bigger picture here with the Dr. Kano thing behind the scenes, which I'll get to in a moment. So they're just assuming these people dead, and Akira's tears in that panel, and just saying that she loved both Takizawa and Amon. Just so many feels this chapter, that's what it is. So many fucking feels. Ishida was just touching on a little bit of everything, giving you a slice of each character, some setup for everything, and just trying to put it in there such that I believe that there needs to be a sequel for this series. He can end it here like he has this chapter, but I believe that he has to keep going. Quick shots of Hinami and Banjo, and we get a little bit more of Hinami at the end where she's asking about the meaning of Enteku, so I'd like to see that. The next major thing, though, is Dr. Kano, Aogiri tree, and this whole thing. So that page where they're in the lab, you see all the little tubes in the background, and they're basically saying, you know, Tatara tells him, you know, as long as you stick with us, you'll have plenty of test subjects. And right before that, it's like CCG ghoul investigators have more durable bodies and such. See all the test tubes with the owl number whatever in the background, like they're trying to create more versions of Eto. They have Yoshimura in the tube, similar to how Rize was in the tube. They're going to be siphoning his powers and whatnot, doling them out, and they clearly have CCG bodies. Amon is probably amongst them, you know, Takizawa, all the other people assumed missing, and they're going to be using them as test subjects. Not all of them are going to survive Kano's sick, twisted process, but I guarantee you Amon is going to be one of the major, the next Kaneki, if you will, in terms of this whole thing. In terms of getting ghoul abilities and whatnot, and if it goes that route, I'm very hyped for that, and this is just another indication that the series is going to continue. And a thing that I will mention, because I personally still think Kaneki will come back after reading this chapter later on if there is a sequel, because of two things. Eto saying we can just make another Kaneki. I don't think she meant that they were going to make something like Kaneki, like referring to Amon. While they are planning to do that, I think they literally mean bring Kaneki back using the same method they did before. And yeah, because Rize was, for all intents and purposes, assumed dead. She had her Kagune removed and her organs and such like that, and she's still alive. So even if the whole Arima thing, and he has Kaneki as a quinqie now, and that is revealed, which I'll get into in a second, he could still be alive. Anyway, next thing. Washu, that scene with Washu. The problem that I have here too is this whole world has too many setups for there not to be more exposition onto it. Like, Washu is supposed to be this crazy strong person above Arima, and we don't really know much. We haven't got to see him do anything yet. That needs to be in a battle manga series of any kind. You need to see the power scale. You need to see the badass motherfuckers lurking in the background come out later on to do these epic battles. Washu is one of them. The whole conversation with Arima, you see Kaneki's picture with the deceased thing. That just indicates, I believe, that that's Kaneki's Kagune in there that has turned into a quinqie in Arima's little suitcase. I think that's it. Some people are speculating that it's somebody else. I think it's Kaneki's Kagune. That does not mean Kaneki's dead. That does not mean that. That's what I'll keep holding to. Although he could be dead, and there's indication of that as well, I will firmly believe that whatever death he is in, he will come back later. For reasons I'll get into. I'll probably do another just full discussion video on that and stop talking about it for now, unless it actually relates. Next big thing, dude. One of my top 5 favorite characters for this entire series was Uta. Okay? I'm gonna do a top 5 video also, but Uta has gone from being number 4 to number 2 right now. Like, after realizing that Uta is behind the Pierrot, which is revealed, Pierrots, the clown gang, you know, named after, you know, I forget what you call those things, the pantomime individuals are called Pierrots, and I also think it's a shout out to Studio Pierrot, but just seeing that shot with him being at the head of that, you know, fucking Ittori being part of it, Roma being part of it, Nico, Sota's there. I was just like, oh fuck, this is a dope little group that they have. All these sinister people have been working throughout the scenes, setting up this whole thing for their amusement. They basically set this whole stage just to watch it unfold. And I'm curious to see what their true motives are. That's another indication. So much setup that we just need a sequel. I'm just curious to see what their true goal is, how Renji Yomo would feel about Uta and Ittori being a part of this, if he knows about it, if he's in on it, which I seriously doubt, because you see him leaving with TOUKA at the end, but just so much shit going on, dude. Who knows what Uta's going on in this man's mind, but I fucking love the dude. He's fucking crazy. Now, during this chapter while I was reading it, I got a lot of the sense that Ishida was talking to us through some of the dialogue of the characters. You have, you know, just, okay, the narration in and of itself, Kaneki, I guess, is considered the narrator of the series, but the narration in and of itself with the world just being wrong, it says that multiple times this world is blah, blah, blah. The part where it's showing some of the Aogiri executives, and Kaneki's narrating and talking about eating is to survive, eating is all of this, just like he did before, and then at the end of that, he's like, my salvation is just to sleep, and have a happy dream and whatnot. I was just like, just little indications that, you know, Ishida's trying to engage with us and tell us something. Like, when Uta's like, this story, mentioning this tragedy of the story, it just seems like he's speaking to us. And I'll pick that up later, because when you see TOUKA and Renji leaving, even TOUKA's last words, which that color page was so fucking beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a long time, and I just felt for TOUKA so hard right now. She's clinging to all hope. I feel like TOUKA is the manifestation of all Tokyo Ghoul fans right now. That is just exactly how we feel. I have faith in him. I have faith in Ishida. I have faith in Kaneki. I believe that Ishida will come with a sequel for me. I believe that Kaneki is alive. I just choose to believe it. And there needs to be a sequel, because right now, Hide status not confirmed. I mean, if this is a cut and dry series, I'm going to reread the whole chapters 1 through 143, but if this is the entirety of the series and he doesn't plan to do a sequel, part 2 with a time skip or something, then I'm going to have to reevaluate how I feel about the series as a whole, so I'm going to do a separate video as that. But right now, I am just... I love the setups, man. If we can just get a confirmation of a season 2, it was just beautiful. I don't even know what to say right now. I need to make some separate videos to discuss all the points that I want to, but I'll give this chapter objectively, without thinking the fact that it's supposed to be the last chapter. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I love, just as a standalone chapter, the setup was beautiful, the art was beautiful. Ishida has really refined his work, man. Ishida has really refined his work. And the reveals and everything, just a lot of good shit. The world that you have crafted here, Ishida, is too good to drop here. And I know that there's this Tokyo Ghoul Jack thing. I haven't checked that out yet. I'm going to go look into that. But, and I guess what he could do with that, though, I hear that it's a prologue story with, Arima's backstory basically in his youth, so I'm not sure, but he could take that, show Arima's life up until the point that Tokyo Ghoul ended and then continue it from there, or he could just make a part 2 manga, that's what I want. I want a part 2 Ishida with the 1 to 2 year time skip, come back showing us, like, you know, TOUKA later on and Renji and whatnot. And I'm curious if that last color page is even a little indication of that, because her hair is slightly longer and whatnot, but not going to get into any of that here. So many questions, not enough answers. Great chapter as a standalone thing, but for it to be the last chapter is just not really acceptable. It changes the series dramatically, whether you look at this as the final chapter or whether there's going to be a part 2, and it doesn't make it a bad series. It's still I would still consider it very tragic, very dark, but still I still love it no matter what happens. And once I reread it, I'll have a better gauge as to more formally how I feel about the storytelling and leaving certain questions open like this if you don't plan to continue it. But for now, that's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think. Discuss whatever you want about Tokyo Ghoul right here in this video, the sequel aspect, anything in this chapter, anything from the entire series, feel free. I just want to engage with you guys about more Tokyo Ghoul stuff, and I'm going to be coming with some other videos about it the next couple days. So let me know what you thought of chapter 143. Like I said, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, I guess, if you look at it more as just a definitive end and the questions left open, you probably want to drop the score a bit more, but that's not what I'm trying to do. 8 out of 10. That's pretty much it. I'm tired now. That was a long fucking review. Peace.